So, we're looking at the centre of Mansfield in Victoria. This is my second visit here. I was here in 2018, very briefly, and this time I just wanted to spend a little bit longer here. So I actually spent the night here and had a few beers with a few of the locals, which was very good. So we're looking at the police memorial in Mansfield to the police officers who died at Stringy Bark Creek. And then directly across from there is the Mansfield Courthouse. And the courthouse is actually still being used today. The police station's just down the road next to it. And this was the courthouse that was being used during the Kelly story, and where I believe they were claimed to be outlaws from the steps of the courthouse. If they hadn't given themselves in by a certain date, they were then deemed to be outlaws. So Mansfield Courthouse. And that's the road that leads to the cemetery where the police officers are buried. So we can say from this picture again, this memorial was placed right in the centre of Mansfield, which shows the high regard that the policemen were held in at the time. And this was erected before the capture and the shootout, the capture of Ned Kelly and the shootout at Glenrowan. Paid for by the local town council, I presume. So again, if you're in the area or you're passing through on the way to Melbourne perhaps, it's just worth stopping off and just viewing some of the places. Really that's just the courthouse, the memorial, and then the cemetery that we'll also visit. So here we are at the cemetery in Mansfield, where the police officers are buried. It's worth remembering, of course, that apart from the police officers who lost their lives, most of them left behind families who grieved for them. Again, the gravestones were paid for, I believe, by the local authorities. They're all similar in style. So here's the grave of Thomas Lonergan. He had 4 children. And his wife was also pregnant at the time. I think she lost the baby with the shock of what had happened. I mean, it's worth remembering that these officers faced a fuselage of bullets. Lonergan had 4 wounds, including the one that killed him, which was a shot through his eye by Ned Kelly. And there's the grave of Michael Kennedy, the sergeant. He had 3 wounds, including the fatal wound, which was a shotgun blast close range to his chest. And He's also buried here his wife and his young son who died at an early age, which was obviously very common in this sort of period of time. I think we have Michael Scanlon, who was unmarried. Again, he had a number of wounds. I think 4. The main one broke a rib and punctured his lungs. So they really did face a barrage of shots that day, because unless every shot fired hit the target, it meant that the Kelly gang really opened up on them with a number of weapons, because the number of hits amounted to sort of 11 wounds between these officers, and presumably they didn't, Kelly gang didn't hit their target with every shot, so they really opened up on these officers. Sergeant Kennedy left 5 children behind with his widow.